it goes 20 miles up to the line that goes along Route 20.
There are several stages. First, they're a gathering line from the individual well pads to one location where the gas is cleaned up, dried, cleaned, any impurities taken out of it, and then it goes to another line to pumping stations and ultimately gets to the long distance pipelines.
So every well has to have a line away from
It has to, yeah, you don't trust this stuff out.
I've flown over Canada, and it's a huge grid, and they're all connected. And they're literally, it looks like a body. It goes back to a central point, and there's thousands of miles of pipe laid out all over the ground, on top of the ground.
In fact, we have Seagull County in 20 years.
When I see something ugly, fly over oil sands.
I
Yeah,
believe it's 100 wells that will directly connect to one main station.
approximately.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to compulsory integration for a moment, because aside from the thing itself, it's also used as a tactic to force people to lease. They
Thank you.
define a certain area, and I don't know how they do that. But once the area is defined, if they get 60% of people signing, they can have compulsory integration. And what happens as a practical matter is they'll come to you and they'll say, listen, Mr. Hanna, we have 60 people who sign, and we can either give you the bonus per acre now, or if you don't want, you don't have to take the bonus rate from now, but we're going to take your gas and pay you the royalty. So why don't you sign now and get the royalty? So it's also used
And
tactically.
they may not even be telling the truth.
Right.
We know that.
Oh, right. Well, I didn't even go that far. I was assuming they were.
Excuse me, is it possible for people that have put their name on a list to speak, that they could take a moment to speak and then the discussion roll after that and comment instead of, is that a possibility?
Well, that's up to us.
I think it makes perfect sense. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm not-
No, that's okay. Teresa was on the list. You can go.
Okay, I'm gonna stand up, I don't know why. I have established a reputation at the county board meeting. I guess we were limited to 3 minutes, and I lost track of time to talk for 10, so I'll try not to do that. But, and I did apologize after speaking about that. You know, I wanted to prepare some remarks for today, and I didn't get a chance to because I spent almost all my day online reading posts from a New York gas coordination group and Sustainable Otsego, responding, getting more information, organizing locally for Professor Ingrazia to come talk to us, organizing, trying to get a newsletter out to our community. Just this thing has overtaken my life. And the thing is, I'm not saying that to be maudlin. We have become a group. There are so many of us who are doing it. This is how big the issue is. Someone in Andrew Cuomo's office the other day stated to somebody I know that this is the most divisive issue that he's ever seen in New York State. And I personally almost feel like we're at a civil war. You know, we're not firing on each other, but I think that the state, that we as a state and the people are that divided, and I feel so very emotional, as we said, about the issue. And so I guess one thing, before I forget to say this, I want to say this. I heard, some of you may have seen the post that was going around a few weeks ago. It was very funny. It was this British humor, a British newsman interviewing a BP executive about what happened, and he was just asking very straight questions. But I mean, it was black humor, because what? So you mean you did this and you did it? Well, we did this, and you know, and all of it, of course, resulting in the whole spill that happened down in the Gulf. And I think that you would get the same feeling if you ask about the hydrofracking and how it came about. So, you know, Vice President Cheney under the Gulf administration got all the, who owns Halliburton and developed hydrofracking, got all these exemptions under the a number of laws, Safe Drinking Water, Clean Water Act, and all that. And frankly, one thing I've been wanting to say for a long time, and I'll say it now, that we don't have to worry about Osama bin Laden, because we have Halliburton right here conducting chemical warfare on his own people, and I think it's that bad. But to get back to the divisiveness, we had one pretty contentious meeting in the town of Butternut between the pro-drillers and the anti-drillers. And we had another one in Worcester that was very much the same way. And at both meetings, I wanted a chance to stand up and say, I think that, I think it's too bad. It really bothers me. It makes me sad that the first time that we've come together as a community is about this divisiveness. And I wish that we could maybe come together in either Worcester or in Butternut, and if possible, have another community meeting where we just try to put gas drilling off the table and we talk about our concerns and our needs, and we try to, and we essentially we do visioning, and we try to find a way to work together to help each other out instead of, you know, attacking each other all the time. Until that end, you know, I'm not an expert on dairy policy. I wish I knew more. I do know that the dairy farmers are being squeezed by corporate America, so they're getting it from both ends of the corporate America. And I guess it makes me, another thing that makes me very sad is that we have, I don't think we have government by the people and for the people anymore. I think we have government by the corporations and for the corporations. But getting back to dairy, I just don't think drilling should be a form of tax relief for the farmers. I wish we could find other ways to examine the tax structure and help them out there. And I think I said everything I would say, so thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, again, I'm Kenneth Fogarty, from Shenango County. We have, first I'll answer one of them, not totally answer, but I would like to comment on the question of what science can do, what they know at the moment, etc. There was this article that appeared in last month's Scientific American entitled "The Drillers Are Coming." And of course it doesn't go into as great detail as is necessary for such a complex issue, but it points out some of the general issues that we've been discussing. I'll just remark over here, because we were concerned about, is it safe, has it got the imprimatur from the science community? Over here in one paragraph it says, on the other hand, the recent oil disaster in the Gulf of Mexico makes an eloquent case for caution. So we should lean in the direction of caution. And the question is asked then, does fracking pose too big of a threat? The answer is not clear. So that's early in this article. We're happy to have this article.
That's an answer that answers itself, though, doesn't it?
It does. And then as I move along here, reading over a lot of technical detail, I find that there's a person named Klaver, and she's with the coalition of drillers and hydrofracking people and stuff like that. And she said our concerns about the chemicals is not really rationally based, since there are data sheets that they give when they start drilling, and these data sheets can disclose that information to the public. However, she neglected to say the sheets do not list the concentrations of the chemicals. So essentially these sheets are a periodic table. You hand that over, you say, here are the chemicals we use, 180 chemicals. How many are on the periodic table? I've forgotten a few since I went to school and did additions. The sheets do not list the concentrations of the chemicals, which the EPA notes are necessary to determine the toxicity. So we need that information before we could even think of making a rational judgment of them. That is considered intellectual property, the precise mixture. One issue is whether mixing of chemicals or their reactions with compounds that are already under the ground there create other compounds that can be harmful. The Endocrine Disruption Exchange, which Theo Goldberg works for, she was a former EPA science advisor. She's determined that these chemicals that she's aware of fell into 14 categories of potential health concerns, including possible damage to the lungs, liver, kidneys, blood, and brain. And finally, you have a DVD of hers. Perhaps we can offer you that. Maybe you've seen it already. But she's an outstanding scientist. Finally, the article ends with the following. The country certainly needs energy, yes, although we could tighten our belts, of course, and make do with a little less more using. It also needs drinking water, yes. Whether it can have both remains an open question. So without drinking water, we don't